And that winning raffle number again is 952163. We're back with Joe Lansdale. Joe, we had mentioned, your long lineage of books. You've been doing this for a long time.
Thanks for reminding me.
One of the ones that is just the all-time fan favorite is the Hap and Leonard series.
Yeah.
There are 8 books now? Is it?
There's a new one coming out next year. I believe that's the 8th, if I've counted right. Yeah, that's
it's somewhere in there.
Yeah,
Math's like a second language to me, so we'll check it on a Google search.
That's Devil Red, comes out next year.
Devil Red.
2011 March.
All right. Now with these characters, the first one came out in 1990. Was it about then?
Somewhere around in there, yeah. And then there was a break between. I don't always write them consecutively. I sometimes have time between.
Yeah, it's not like a George Lucas film thing where you just kind of make sure that everyone comes out the next summer or whatever.
Right.
But we've racked up like 8 of them now, whatever. And these are characters that we know all the way from the general description of them. You got Hap, who is the white working class guy. He was the peace marcher guy in the 60s or whatever. We know him all the way through to his bad romances and to the fact that he lifts his feet up on the couch because he's afraid of floor sharks. Because he's afraid of Jaws. Yeah. And then on the other side you got Leonard, who is black. He's homosexual. And he's a Vietnam veteran. Right. You throw these guys together in just the wildest stories and just let them go, but you always have a backdrop to really cool social commentary along the way. I mean, you hit topics that sometimes are taboo or whatever. I mean, you deal with racism, homophobia. You deal with everything. Political corruption, prostitution, a lot of subjects come up in these. Have you seen a change since you started in the 90s with these characters to a voice that you can do nowadays, 20 years later?
Well, it depends on what respect you mean. I mean, in one sense, I think that the characters have grown. They've changed because they do. All people do. All characters grow, and they change. And I think that one of the things that is as the political climate changes, and as the social climate changes, then they change with it, just like all of us do. When I was growing up in the 50s and 60s, obviously racism and civil rights were a big, big thing because that's what was going on at the time. The Vietnam War, those that were opposed to it, those that were for it, so on and so on. And then now you got the Iraq War for a while here. That seems to be changing up now, but for the last few years, and even if you're not writing about those particular things, you're always writing about those things of your time because they're part of you. And they come out, even if they don't come out in a direct way, they come out in some subliminal way in the work. I think that's always true. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. When the film came out, they said, this is about the communist fear of communism and all that. And the author said, no, that's not what I had in mind at all. But nonetheless, that may be what seeped into it. And I believe that. And I always take the author as the last word on their work. But I don't think we always know or always are aware that these outside forces are pushing and tugging at us. There's a difference in being conscious of it and going in to do that particular thing. Because when you do that, it usually doesn't work as well. I've had people say, my God, you're just tough on the Republicans. I said, you see this chapter where I was tough on the Democrats? You don't see that because you're a Republican, or vice versa. It can work either way. Because to me, it's a way of satire and criticism of certain things without, beating you over the head with it.
Have you seen any point where maybe, I don't want to use the word handcuffed, but where you've had to change a voice that you might use on some of the controversial stuff? I'm just saying this as a man who's both black and gay.
Yes.
And female. And female. All that whole trifecta, bringing that to a man's world. Have you?
No.
No, there's never been a point where I got to pull back on this now because it's too much of a hot
once in a while an editor
nowadays.
might say, this line is, and my first thought is like, oh, was that line, he doesn't like it because it's offensive, or no, he doesn't like it because that sucks, it's not good, I'll take it out. If I thought it was the other, I'll leave it in, But in other words, I'm not going to pull it because it might be offensive if it's proper for the story. But the truth is, I haven't really had that. There's been like something here and there. Now, things that have been published, I've had some response from readers occasionally that misunderstood it. Some of them were offended by it, and they'd say, you know, my God, you killed a dog here. Yeah, but I killed 4 humans over here, and that's fine. It's just, and, you know, or you'll have people that will say, oh yeah, I don't like black people either. I go, what story did you read?
Right.
Well, it used the N word because this was the bad people, so to speak, were saying it, or the guys were bantering between themselves. You know, I try to be real about this stuff. I don't try to do this political correctness, but I don't try to use that as a way to be cruel and mean just for the hell of it, unless I'm making a point. People like to say I'm not politically correct so they can just be assholes. That's a different thing.
Right.
It's not the same thing.
Gotcha. No, and coming from a world of comedy, I've worked with probably all of those guys.
Yeah.
So that's cool though. But what can we expect with the? We've seen these guys grow, obviously.
Yeah. There's some changes in this new book, Devil Red.
Are you allowed to say
I
any?
will say a little bit. I will just say that a lot of the things that have gone on in the life of Hap Collins have come home to roost, and they're starting to have an effect on him, an emotional effect.
Okay. Okay.
I don't want to give too much away there. I'll also say that a character that's very popular is coming back and is going to appear in the novel, and that there's going to be some real little changes that I think that readers might be surprised at, and I think they'll enjoy. And but keep in mind there will be other Hap and Leonard, so the guys will be back.
So this isn't just tying it all up. You still
No, I plan on doing others.
Does Leonard still like vanilla cookies?
He does like vanilla cookies. That has not changed. Yeah, I just couldn't change that. I couldn't go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anything? No, you were talking, and usually, you know, it's you know, you got a lot of it's through Hap's voice, right?
Absolutely, it's all through Hap's voice. It's always been first person. There's actually even been a few short pieces about him. I should also mention Subterranean is doing a novella called Hyenas about Hap and Leonard that comes out, I think, next year.
What is it called again?
Hyenas.
And what is this? What is?
Well, I don't give too much away. It's a short novella, and it's about Leonard gets in a little trouble at a place where he tries to pick up somebody he thinks is gay and isn't, and it turns bad. And so then that leads to a connection where he's trying to help this guy and his brother, and it goes even worse. So.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Wasn't there talk at one time, and I could be making this up because that's what I do a lot on the Funky Werepig, just to, if that's my motto. If I don't have the facts,
just make
them up.
Yeah.
Just throw them out there. Wasn't there at point a talk about like a possible short story collection that would maybe fill in blanks?
No.
For them? Cool. Then.
But there is the idea of putting some of the short stories together. That has been. And Hyenas isn't actually, it's a novella, but it also includes the short story about Hap in high school.
Really?
Yeah, it's a short. It's about a thing, and it's the sort of thing that happened to him in high school that you can see sort of molded some of his character.
Okay. Now, when we come back, you're going to kick a little bahookie, right?
Well, my son-in-law, one of my black belts, he and I, we're just going to demonstrate a little bit.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to want to miss this, because this is, he did a little demonstration. It's actually how I got the booking with him today. So when we come back, we'll be doing a little kick bahookie. So we'll see you soon.
It's time to get Amish with this week's book choices. The Funky Werepig suggests you check out The Horribles by Nathaniel Lambert, published through Grindhouse Press and available through most online stores. And our guest Joe Lansdale recommends The Wait by Andrew Vaxes, available from Pantheon and most literary outlets.